Separating the facts from the fiction and the Baba Mises from the bottom line. You're listening to the Sunday Schmooze with the Rabbi and the CEO. I'm Rabbi David Vigler of Chabad Palm Beach Gardens, where you'll find traditional Jewish values for contemporary Jews just like you. Learn about us online at www.jewishgardens.com. That's jewishgardens.com. CEO today is Mark Linsky of East Street Financial. Good morning,
Hello.
Mark. Mark of East Street Financial is actually coming from New Jersey originally. East Street was opened in New Jersey, right?
Cherry Hill, New Jersey.
It's on the border of Philadelphia, right?
So even though people know that we're from New Jersey, we're really Philly people. We're Philly all the way. We're Eagles, we're Flyers, we're cheesesteaks. Totally kidding about the cheesesteaks. But we're everything that Philadelphia has to represent, even though it's New Jersey based.
How did you get a name like East Street Financial?
Well, to be honest, being a New Jersey guy, my most famous favorite, Bruce Springsteen, is my guy. You know, he's the guy that I listen to and I love, and his band's called the East Street Band. So when I was looking for a name for my company, I wanted it to have part of my personality. And a friend of mine said, never name your company like Linsky and Associates, because what happens is when a client comes to see you and you grow and you have other people that's working with you, they always want to be with Linsky. Ironically, my partner is also a Linsky. It's my son, David. So I could have been Linsky Associates, but we decided to go East Street Financial instead. And when you walk into my office, you see a giant picture of Bruce Springsteen, because that's somebody who I love and who I grew up with. Inspired me, absolutely.
So coming with the background of Bruce Springsteen, you're not coming from the most religious Jewish background.
That is correct.
How did you come to Chabad?
Well, I was very lucky, Rabbi. Many years ago, I think it was about 1995, unfortunately, I lost my grandfather. My grandfather, I can't express to you how important he was in my life and how influential he was. And when I lost him, it was the first time I lost anyone. I was very blessed. I've never had that experience. And I had a void in my soul.
1995, you said?
Yeah. And I learned that my soul was called a neshama. But I didn't know that at the time. All I know is I was feeling really, really sad. And not to talk negative about anyone, but I was affiliated with a conservative synagogue in Cherry Hill. Huge, thousands and thousands of people. And I went to the rabbi because, truthfully, I didn't know what else to do. I didn't know how to handle the grief that I was experiencing. And unfortunately, or fortunately, depending how you look at it, he wasn't available for me. He wasn't able to give me the time and answer the questions that I had.
So sorry to hear that.
Well, you know what? One door shuts and a window opens, and out of nowhere, a Chabad house opened across the street from my house. I mean, literally, you cross the street out of my development, and there's a Chabad house. It used to be a Korean church. Before that, it was a storefront, just like you. And the guy, the rabbi, his name was Mendy Mengel. You probably heard of him. I know he's like a superstar within those circles. And it was during the high holidays. And during the high holidays, for someone like me, someone who doesn't really practice Judaism, and I wasn't raised to be religious, going to synagogue was a nightmare. And my wife, Molly, she grew up a completely different way. And if it wasn't for my wife, Molly, I probably never would have gone to synagogue, even on high holidays.
I got to process that. You said going to synagogue was a complete nightmare.
It really was. I would be bored out of my mind. I didn't connect. I didn't understand what they were saying. I would walk around. And I'm not alone, by the way. You know, I'm a 57-year-old man.
I agree, yeah.
I would tell you my closest friends all feel that way. And unfortunately for them, some still do. But I was blessed because I had the miracle of meeting Mendy. And what happened was, my wife wasn't feeling well, and she wasn't going to go to high holiday services. So she said to me, you know what? You don't have to go this year. I'm not going to drag you, even though we paid for the tickets. And the weirdest thing happened. I felt that I wanted to go. For the first time in my life, I just lost my grandfather, and I just felt that it would be respectful to go and think about him during the high holiday services. But I had nowhere to go, and this Chabad house opened up across the street from my house, so I walked over, and I sat in the back row of Rosh Hashanah services. And when he started to speak, something happened. It was a spark that took place inside of me, and I just connected to every word he said. I couldn't believe that there was a guy with a beard and a hat that was talking and I was listening to him like I was at a Springsteen concert. In fact, to this day, I tell him he's the Bruce Springsteen of rabbis.
Wow, what a compliment.
It is, and I will tell you that there's a very, very close second, and that's you.
Thank you.
And he knows how I feel. And when I told him about you, when I moved down here, he said, oh, he's the best. And that's coming from,
The rock star.
a rock star. So the cool thing was that when the services were over and the high holidays were over, I went back, by the way, the next day. And then
Second day Rosh Hashanah.
Second day Rosh Hashanah.
This is like never happened in the history of
Never
Mark
happened in the
Linsky.
history of Alinsky, ever. But I felt that I was being pulled towards the Chabad. I wanted to hear what he had to say.
And Molly, what did Molly say about this? She was like, you're going back to
She couldn't believe it. She couldn't believe it. And then Yom Kippur came around, and I went again. And the sermon that he gave at Yom Kippur changed my life.
Wow.
So what I did was, which is so out of character, I called him after the high holidays, and all I said was, my name is Mark Linsky. I just want you to know I sat in the back of the shul, and you really had an impact. I just wanted to thank you. Have a nice day. And as I'm hanging up, I should have known better. He's like, wait. No. Where are you right this second? I said, I'm sitting at my desk. He said, come sit with me at my desk. 15 minutes later, I was sitting in my first Chabad office with him, talking to him.
Last time was it before the bar mitzvah?
This was after.
No, I'm saying the last time you sat at a rabbi's office.
Yes.
Before your bar mitzvah.
Yes. Scared to death and bored out of my mind. And I spent about an hour with him, and that was it. It just changed my life. And he used to say to me, don't come for the full service. Just come hear the sermon. It's in English. Because truthfully, and you and I discussed this, people think of Chabad, they think it's prayer, they think it's Hebrew, they think it's if you don't have these same feelings of religiousness that they do, then you would feel like an outsider. Judgmental. And that was, in my opinion, and the opinion of people that I know, that was the way that they thought about Chabad. And it couldn't be any different. It couldn't be any, it's 180 degree different. It's the least judgmental place I've ever met, ever. And I started going. And I just fell in love with him. I fell in love with the people. And I started studying. And this might sound crazy, but then all of a sudden, Friday nights, instead of playing poker with my friends, I found myself staying inside. And all of a sudden, my children started to notice. I had 3 small children at the time, 2 teenagers and 1 preteen. And normally on Friday nights, they'd eat their dinner and then they'd go out. All of a sudden, my wife was making Shabbat dinner. So you know what happened? Instead of them running out, they were inviting friends over. And within a year to 2 years, everyone in Cherry Hill knew, Friday night, go to the Linskys. The door was open. Sometimes we had 10 people, sometimes we had 30 people. Sound familiar?
Oh yeah.
And we became the house, and it became infectious. First, people thought I was in a cult. I hate to say it on the radio, but that's the flack that we were getting. Oh my God, what's Mark doing? He's changing his ways. I remember there was a Bob Dylan concert coming to town, and I'm a huge Dylan fan. And it was a Friday night.
He's Jewish too, right?
Yeah, Robert Zimmerman. And I said, I'm not going. It's Friday night. I don't want to go.
So you turned down a Bob Dylan concert?
I turned down a Bob Dylan concert.
Wow.
And that's when I knew I was hooked. And it's changed my life.
What's so beautiful to see, Mark, is that you're just such an inspired soul. You're so passionate, you're so alive, and you still retain. What impresses me is how you've able to retain all of those friendships that you've had from your earliest youth.
Yes.
You are constantly caring about some friend that you knew 30 years ago, or since 30 years ago, visiting, meeting, connecting. You're just very, very connected with your life before Chabad, and instead of it being a conflict, God forbid, it's only enhanced your life and made you more of a wholesome person who's more in touch with his soul, with his neshama, more alive and more fulfilled, giving you more of a sense of purpose.
Absolutely. And I feel bad for people that don't have that. So I felt that it was my purpose now to tell other people. And my rabbi in Cherry Hill used to say to me, slow down. You can't push these ideas
Easy
on
come,
other
easy
people.
go, right?
Right. Slowly. Let them see how you evolve, and they're going to want to have a piece of it. And he was right. So I never pushed it. I never promoted it. But every day, every Saturday, when I would walk on Crescent Road in Cherry Hill to my shul, my friends, people that I knew, they'd be driving by, they'd beep the horn, they wave, and there's Mark Linsky with a tallis walking to shul. What a sight. It made me feel good. I remember in the snowstorms, rainstorms, I would walk to shul and I'd be soaking wet and freezing cold and taking off my jacket, but it made me feel so good to know that I was going there and I was walking and I was going to shul. And my friends saw it and my family saw it. My children, especially my boys, they started coming with me. They started not going to out on Friday nights. They stopped eating bacon and pork products and shellfish. I never once said to them, I want you to do this. But they saw me do it, and they followed my path. And to this day, they're the same way. I wouldn't say that we're religious people, but I definitely feel that I'm a spiritual person, and Chabad is my portal to connect to Hashem.
Mark, I have to ask you, what was it that the rabbi said that year on Yom Kippur, that you said changed your life? Do you remember?
It's a great question, and if I think about it, I probably can remember that. But he was talking about the Chabad as a whole, and he was explaining to me, and I think I told you this before, the differences between the words of wisdom, of understanding, and of knowledge.
Meaning of the word Chabad.
The meaning of the word Chabad. I was saying to myself, they all sound like the same word to me. They all mean the same thing. But then he started to dig deeper, and I realized that there were three very distinct words. And I think that had a lot to do with it. Plus, I must tell you, I feel more connected to my grandfather now, ever since I connected with Chabad, than I did before.
That was going to be my next question about how the rabbi helped you heal from the grief and the anguish of losing your grandfather.
Yeah, for sure.
So, can you elaborate on that, and what it was that helped you heal?
Yeah, my grandfather was more of a religious man, and my mother was not, neither was my father. And getting in touch with my neshama, my Judaism, made me feel closer to him than really ever before that. And I know he's with me all the time, and I know he's proud of me, and I'm hoping that that's going to be the same for my grandchildren now that I have two grandchildren. You know, I can't wait to be able to teach them the things that my grandfather was trying to teach me. I'm hoping they'll be more open-minded than I was. But that's definitely what it was for me.
So as long as you're living a life where you're obsessed with your body and the physical aspects of your life, your job, your bills, your car, your house, your real estate, your vacations, when there's a very little emphasis on your soul, on your neshama, death is a very traumatic experience. Losing a loved one is a terminal loss.
Yes.
It's the end of the road. But when you're able to connect to the power of the spirituality within you, to the power of the soul within you, the peace of God, the power of eternity, the infinite power within you, which is your true identity, it's then that we are able to look at those that we've lost, and reassess that loss, realizing that it's not that we've lost them, it's not that they died, it's that they passed away to the next world. And we can still remain connected to them through mitzvahs and through Torah and through spiritual energy when we can no longer do it through a physical manner.
That's correct.
And that's what Chabad really is all about. I loved how you said that Chabad is wisdom, understanding, and knowledge, because Chabad means logic. That's what it means. It means logic. It means a rational approach to faith. Making sense of those things that we just never understood until now. When your Hebrew school teacher told you 45 years ago that that's the way it's done, don't ask questions or you'll get a pach panim, which means a slap across the face. Chabad means, let me explain it to you.
I got a yardstick cracked over my head when I was in Hebrew school. And
no wonder you never came back.
I deserved it.
Okay.
I deserved it.
So Chabad is the rational approach to faith.
Yes.
It's about making sense of the idiosyncrasies, making sense of the customs so that they become meaningful and that we actually want to do them, and that's very, very inspiring.
Absolutely.
And that's what we try to do here at the Chabad Palm Beach Gardens. We're so honored, Mark, that Destiny sent you from Cherry Hill to Palm Beach Gardens to join our community as well. Of course, not to disconnect from your community in Cherry Hill, but we're thrilled to have you here as well. And here at Chabad, we're constantly looking to expand our reach and to reach new hearts and souls and inspire new people, more people. And that's why we have such a diversity of activities. We're actually going to Italy as a community.
I know, and who better to go to Italy with than you?
My wife actually is Italian. She's a granddaughter of the chief rabbi in Rebbitzin, the Chabad rabbi in Rebbitzin of Italy, who went out there over 60 years ago, so she's got seriously deep roots in Italy. She's fluent in Italian amongst 6 other languages that she speaks. And we're doing a community trip to Italy. If you'd like to learn more about that, then please send us an email to rabbi@jewishgardens.com. That's rabbi@jewishgardens.com. We're also...
And even if, you don't mind me interrupting, but even if you've been to Italy before, that's my favorite place in the world for Molly and I to go to.
This is Jewish
This is
Italy.
going to be a whole different trip. You're going to see a whole different side, and that's what's so exciting about it.
But not just that, we're also looking forward to unveil and invite you to our Unity concert taking place at the EC Theater on March 24th.
Beautiful theater.
Mark is actually our chairs, together with Molly, your wife Molly. Mark and Molly Linsky are our chairs for the Unity concert taking place at the EC Theater March 24th with one of Israel's most celebrated performing groups, Kol Esperanza, the Voice of Hope. They'll be performing pop to opera, modern to classic, Israeli to Jewish, a wide variety of music taking place right here in Palm Beach Gardens on March 24th, and we'd love to have you join us. Music is what unites us, no matter what we believe, no matter which part of the political aisle or religious affiliation we stand on. Music brings us all together, and now more than ever we need to stand together as
Perfect
one.
timing.
One nation under God. So please join us. You can buy your tickets at the EC Theater. That's 561-207-5900, 561-207-5900, or online at jewishgardens.com. That's www.jewishgardens.com. And please follow us on Facebook for updates and sneak peeks on this event and other events. Or you can find us on Facebook through Chabad of Palm Beach Gardens. That's the Chabad of Palm Beach Gardens on Facebook. Like us on Facebook and follow us. You'll be able to be informed of breaking news updates and all sorts of exciting news coming up. We just had a very exciting event as well a few days ago. Again, trying to reach out to ever wider circles. We brought Steven Spielberg's sister.
I was standing right next to her in the Chabad, and I didn't know it. She just seemed like such a regular, nice person.
So relatable, so down to earth, right?
Steven Spielberg's sister. Are
This
you
is
kidding me?
Jaws, Schindler's List, right?
Schindler's List?
So Steven Spielberg's sister, her name is Nancy. Nancy Spielberg is a film producer in her own right, and she produced this most magnificent film, heart-wrenching, called Who Will Write Our History. It's a documentary of the true story of the Warsaw Ghetto, how the Jews of the Warsaw Ghetto made it their business to fight against the Nazi propaganda with pens and paper, creating an archive that they buried beneath the Warsaw Ghetto. An archive of all the eyewitness accounts of the brutalities, the torture, the inhumanity that the Nazis exhibited towards the Jewish people. It was so painful. How did you feel about it?
You know, it's funny because when she made a comment afterwards, she said, listen, I'm not my brother. He makes Schindler's List. I made this movie. But I have to tell you, I saw Schindler's List, of course, like every Jew, and I've seen it a few times, and as upsetting as it is, I found this to have a much stronger impact on me personally by watching the movie that she actually created, the documentary.
Who Will Write Our History?
Yes, it was so powerful, and unfortunately or fortunately, it had a major impact on me. And this is something that I would talk to you about privately because you counsel me in so many different ways. I mean, I'm so blessed that you're in my life. I just want to say that, and for everyone to hear it on the radio. I just think you're a phenomenal person and a great man, and you're so easy to talk to, and you show me different angles that I don't normally see. And I was saving this really for a private talk, but hey, who's listening, right?
Just 35,000
Just 35,000 people. But I bet you this, anyone that sees this movie has to feel the same way, or in some form or fashion feel this way. You know, Rabbi, I've been praying now for about 15 years. Morning prayer, just do Limita, and I do a few prayers before then.
You put on tefillin?
You're going to be very proud of me.
You do?
Since last month, you and I talking, I've done tefillin every single day except Saturday, of course.
God
I've been
bless
wrapping
you.
tefillin. I have a quick question for you. When you wrap the tefillin, do you wrap it on the middle finger or the index finger?
Middle finger.
Oh, good. Because I thought I was doing it wrong. I'm like, oh, I'm doing all this stuff, and he's not hearing me. When I wrap that on my arm, I now feel like the only way I can describe it is I feel like I got like a microphone. Like before, I didn't have a microphone, and the tefillin gives me a microphone, so my prayers are heard louder. I don't know. Does that make sense to you?
Absolutely. I see it as a Wi-Fi signal.
A Wi-Fi signal. That's a great another way to look at it. But I definitely feel an impact when I'm wrapping the tefillin. I feel
So
like
what changed after the movie?
so when you do the prayers, and you study and you listen and you read the words, you see things like God protects us and God looks after us and we're the chosen people and he will destroy all the wicked and he will honor all the good people and the love and all the prayers that you know. Now I read the English, not the Hebrew, so I really get into what the words are saying. And for the first time in 15 years, the words don't seem as true anymore. After watching what I watched in the Chabad the other night, as beautiful as the evening was, it was so impactful to me that I'm starting to get self-doubt. And I thought I was past that.
Get what?
Self-doubt.
Self-doubt.
When it comes to faith. Now look, I know faith is, some people say it's make-believe, it's not real. There's no difference between faith and fear because neither one really exists. So I choose faith. And
I couldn't disagree with you more. Does love exist?
Well, if you met my wife, Molly, you would know love exists.
I do know.
So.
And love exists and fear exists. It's not tangible, right? Does music exist? You can hear it.
You can hear it.
So just because you can't sense it in your five senses, it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Does math exist? Does logic exist? Of course it does. It's just that it's non-physical. It's an idea. It's more powerful, not less.
But I think faith is a very, very powerful emotion that
100%.
you can't touch or feel.
But that doesn't make it non-existent. It makes it spiritual. That's all.
Yes, but I can't help but question it when I see what I saw. I wonder how Nancy Spielberg felt, because I know she's a Chabadnik.
Yeah.
She's into it big time, and she was firsthand. She created this documentary to see the suffering and
You
the
felt
pain.
that God abandoned us.
It certainly seems that way on
And
the
here you are.
surface.
You're asking God to help you in your personal challenges, and you're like, hey, how do I know He's even listening?
Correct.
I have to tell you more. First, I want to validate your concern. I want you to know that it's real, and I'm not here to be God's defense attorney. Right? My own grandparents were in Auschwitz, and they suffered terribly, losing the vast majority of the members of their family. And, you know, as human beings, we were never given a guarantee that everything's going to be good. Right?
Well, there's a difference between not being good and
Being terrible, catastrophic.
yet mind-boggling, horrible.
Now, I just want to say this, you know, as human beings, we are created by God. God is almighty and all-knowing. There's no way that we could ever possibly fathom the wisdom of our maker. It's like a chess piece, trying to understand the wisdom of the chess master, right? Why would you move me in the line of fire? Why would you sacrifice your queen? Asks the queen, right? And the chess master says, with all due respect, I'm the chess master. I can't explain it to you. You're too little to understand, right? It's like an earthworm arguing with a human being, with a farmer, about why he's doing what he's doing. It's just a totally different perspective. So I think at the outset, and as we're running out of time over here, it's all tough for me to explain, but I want to say that we have to recognize the limitations of our understanding, for starters, that we are only human and we cannot plumb the depths of the wisdom of our Maker, of God Almighty. And again, it hurts. It's intensely painful. But one thing that I can say to you is that we did survive.
Yes.
You and I are both here to tell the tale, and the Nazis are not. Neither are the ancient Greeks, the Babylonians, the Persians, the Assyrians, or anybody else, the Cossacks, anybody else who tried to destroy us. They've all been erased into the gutters of history, the
Yes.
sewers of history. And it's only the Jews that have managed to outlive them all. That, I believe, is God's answer to our prayers. Collectively, as a nation, we've landed on our feet. I'm not saying it's easy, and I'm not condoning God's behavior. I'm not His defense attorney. I'm just saying that we cannot possibly fathom it. It is intensely painful, and we cry out every day, God, how can you do this? Send us the Mashiach, send us the redemption. Enough suffering, enough torture. We can't handle this anymore. But when you ask, where was God in the Holocaust? I can only tell you that hindsight is 20/20 vision. And the fact that we are still here is nothing short of a miracle.
That I agree with.
A point to ponder, but I definitely do validate your pain over there, Mark. Thank you for that. I'm just sorry that we had to mention that at the very
To
end.
be continued.
Yes, I have to say that, to be continued. We have to carry on this very, very beautiful conversation. Thank you for joining us here this morning on the Sunday Schmooze. Don't forget to join us for the Unity Concert, remembering what unites us, because united we stand in one nation under God. The Unity Concert on Tuesday, March 24th at the EC Theater. Tickets are open at 561-207-5900. That's 561-207-5900, or online at jewishgardens.com. That's www.jewishgardens.com for one night of phenomenal Jewish music, unity, and pride.
And I would just say in closing that if you can, I would highly recommend the VIP service, because you will see the food and the desserts and the mingling and all that goes with the concert. It will make for the perfect evening.
VIP tickets are at jewishgardens.com. That's www.jewishgardens.com. Thank you, Mark. Thank you for joining us here this morning. Shalom, and have a wonderful week.